Guys, it's here. The sequel of a show I've watched before, and another which I have no clue what it's about. As a youngin', I was browsing through the anime catalogs and found a show that was titled Love Live Nijigasaki. So let's see what my thoughts are 2 years on from my initial watch. Season 1 of Nijigasaki starts off much like Sunshine, with two childhood friends hanging out when on the way home they discover the head of the Nijigasaki Idol Club performing on some steps, and they immediately fall in love looking to find the Idol Club the next day, where coincidentally the two students, Yu and Ayumi, happen to be attending that same school on the day. Upon arriving at the club, they are greeted by the student council president, who is there to disband the club, where the goal of these two and a few previous club members is that to get the club re-established. This is probably the most entertaining plot point of the season and takes the first few episodes, where after this happens, it is decided that club members will act as independent idols, meaning they would use the group more as a means for connections and practice to further themselves instead of the group being, an idol group. This leads to the season focusing more on individual performances, where the episode structure normally follows a group member's issue or problem, where then throughout the episode the character follows some sort of change, such as Rina's stage fright or Karen's thoughts that she can't be an idol, where then, by the end of the episode, it's wrapped up in some sort of performance to cap off the episode. I get the idea, but not having the characters be a part of a group makes it feel like we are watching a side plot in every episode. There is no main goal for the group, no purpose to the show, which I understand is an argument for all these shows, but Nijigasaki has it the worst due to its solo idol setup. Speaking of set idols, I guess it's only natural to cover the characters. First up is Yu, who despite being the closest to the series getting a protagonist, is not an idol. Instead, she chooses to be a self-proclaimed cheerleader for the group, and through later arcs picks up music composition, which we see expanded on in the second season, but in the first season she's just kinda there. By comparison, her childhood friend Ayumi is who we see as the face of the Nijigasaki series, at least compared to the other characters who are generally used as a voice of reason, with Setsuna and Shizuku also filling this role at times. Next is... all I remember about her character is she's the annoying one and steals stuff at the beginning of the season. Shizuku would be the next to talk about and is just kind of a poster girl idol. She goes through imposter syndrome arc, and the main part I took out of this is how the duality shadow character reminded me of Bad Apple. Setsuna is probably the most interesting character, having to deal with the school council president duties as well as being an idol, in a way which disguises her from her fellow classmates so her parents aren't aware of her club activities, as well as her having, in my opinion, the best character design of any Love Live character. Emma is from Switzerland, that's about as much as I remember of her, same with Rina being socially awkward and using paper to show her emotions, and I being extremely sporty and athletic. Finally, that leaves Kanata and Karen. Kanata I just remember as the sleepy older sister, and Karen is reluctant to join the idol club as fear of her not looking pretty enough, later on joining on the back of being convinced to do so. As I stated earlier, I don't care as much for that episode, seeing as no individual character is fleshed out to a point of reasonable satisfaction, at least in this season. It makes it hard to really care for the characters and their changes when often their arcs are also their introductions into the group, and then that character is pushed aside only for another character to take center stage in the next episode. Sure, as an idol show, I can see why this could be a fan favorite. The amount of songs and performances easily trounced the series before and Superstar, which is after this. But as a show where I can learn about the characters and, watch a story, Nijigasaki felt disconnected and incoherent, as far as the plot goes at least. As far as my opinion goes, I think that's it. I touched on the characters, the plot, and my thoughts, leaving with just the score to come, and my opinion for Nijigasaki Season 1 is a 5 out of 10. So, Season 2, does it fix my issues with Nijigasaki or only make them worse? The second season of Nijigasaki starts with an idol performance as you would expect, though the team experiences some technical difficulties when a new student, Lanju, shows up and steals the show. Whilst initially interested in joining the school idol club, a difference in opinions changes her mind where she initially opposes the club, before eventually sorting out her differences with the club. This is where the season spends a majority of its first 8-ish episodes, with the B-plot of Shoriko opposing the school idol club not really grabbing my attention. As for the last few episodes, it is that of a trust relationship between Yu and IMU. No, not that type of relationship, get your head out of the gutter. With Yu looking to advance her composing career after writing a song for the group by joining a competition, and IMU getting an offer to be a foreign exchange student, neither wanting to drift too far from each other, whilst also wanting to advance their individual passions. I think this cohesive plot goes a long way in helping the series feel like a show rather than like diary entries the entire time, and whilst not my favourite, it shows at the very least the show wasn't the exact same throughout. Character-wise, I'm just going to talk about new characters, or more relevant ones, as Nijigasaki has so fucking many of them. Lanju is the poster child idol in this season, but is seen to be more emotional and fragile than led on, with her poor social skills being the face of that. Mia Taylor is a shy composer that's friends with Lanju, and that's about it. And Shoriko is there. She challenges Setsuna for council president, but beyond that just goes through the same character arc as Setsuna. I will say that I think the season peaked at the opening, but that's only because I think this was the best opening by a mile. Overall, I can say at the very least this season felt like a show and less of a compilation. Still probably not my favorite season or series for that matter, but that's a discussion for another day. For now, Nijigasaki Season 2 gets a 6 out of 10. So, I'm down to the last 24 episodes. Will I like Superstar, or will I hate it? I guess there's only one way to find out. Love Live Superstar follows Kanon, who after a bad case of stage fright got Your Lie in April, in which, I mean, she has severe stage fright and cannot sing in front of an audience anymore. Despite this, Kiki invites her to become a school idol with her, and we are back to the school idol plot, minus the whole school shutting down thing. The protagonists have to argue against the school president in order to have the club, and use the help of a childhood friend in order to gain notoriety, though this time the friend isn't in the club yet. After fighting for survival in the face of the school president, like the first two series, she then joins the group, with there being a fifth character injected much earlier. I feel the smaller cast allows for each of the characters to have better arcs, despite them still being very surface level. For example, Kanon, the resident orange-haired protagonist, which I don't know why but is a theme for the series, has a few early episodes dedicated as to why has the massive stage fright and her overcoming it. Kiki and Sumire don't really have character arcs, with the former's only fear being shipped back to China, and the latter's only that of craving attention. Chisato has the arc of fearing that she isn't strong enough to fend for herself, which is shown through flashbacks of her being bullied, and cut to current day where she's a star dancer but still feels inferior to her best friend Kanon. Through this, it shows her connection to the past and how she uses that motivation to get better to the current day. Last is Ren, who has a connection to the past through her mom and school idols. There is a theme, can you tell? And through this, much like other arcs, we see her blossom as a character. Now, was it amazing? No, it's still just Love Live, but I can see more of an appeal with this season just based on the characters alone. I want to say this is the best so far, and especially with it probably being the most different in terms of cast size, I could say I enjoyed this the most, but I would probably be lying. It would be more accurate to say that this is the one that I was the least bored watching, and because of that, it gets a 7 out of 10. Well shit, I thought we might have been heading upward with a smaller cast and more focused story, but instead I think this season of Superstar was really boring. The plot is basically them waffling around the club and performing for a majority of the season before the conflict arises where Kanon is invited overseas because of her talents. And because of this, we have the first time in the series, not actually, they've killed off a character. I assume they'll still find a way to squeeze her into the third season, but man, like, 1, I just want the Love Live chapter of my life to be over, and 2, they're adding more characters to replace her, meaning the group is heading towards Nijigasaki amount of characters, after starting with the smallest roster. Oh yeah, quick character introduction. Sunny Passion, the rival idol group, also appeared in the first season, but I forgot to mention them. They consist of duo Mao and Yuna and have unappealing character designs, at least to me. I also don't like how tame rivalries in Love Live have gotten. Odd thing to be complaining about, I know, but in School Idol Project, A-Rise felt like true rivals that Muse looked to battle against. Saint Snow felt more friendly, but was still like a competition at the end of the day, and would do what it takes to win. And Nijigasaki pretty much ditched having rivals completely, instead having the club be individual idols, who kinda directly compete. And Sunny Passion are pushovers, pretty much acting as mentors rather than rivals. As for new characters, well, Kineko is probably my favourite, adding in a junior who, in my opinion, shares a lot of traits with Hanamaru from Sunshine, being a hardworking character who's slightly out of shape compared to her peers, but still tries her best. Friends Mei and Shiki kind of annoy me, Mei being an I'm not good enough type, and Shiki a quiet introvert with the most boring face known to mankind. And finally Natsumi, Sumari Jr., enough said. The new characters, in my opinion, hamper the show, as they take valuable plot time and not introduce new conflict for the group or existing members to tackle, creating what is basically filler to the plot. Overall, not ending on the greatest note, but also not the worst. 6 out of 10. So Love Live. Yeah, it exists. I thought about ranking where I thought each of the seasons placed, but seeing as there will be more of the series and the video is long enough as it is, I'll pass. Also, I didn't know that there was a Nijigasaki OVA at the time of filming, so yeah, I might have skipped that one as well. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing I've watched, but I didn't exactly enjoy my time with the series either, though I will continue to try new shows, good or bad, in order to see it for myself. But today though, I think that's enough. If you have any suggestions on future series I should watch, feel free to let me know, or if you just want to tell me that Love Live is the second coming of Christ, that's also cool. And with that said, my socials are down below, and as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!